want to know how American street cop killers? Well, I am here to tell you that today is Monday, September 27, 2021 at 8 p.m. Do you know that in the United States of America, whenever a police officer is shot and killed by a gunman or gunmen, all commerce where it happened will come to a standstill until the killer or killers are caught. Yes, Jamaica need to implement the same measures to find and extricate the parasites wherever they are hiding, using smoke to get them out of these holes that they are in. Welcome to the Jamaica Young Police channel. We are an experienced detective about to educate you with facts, not propaganda or hyperbole, for or against the government of Jamaica or their criminal supporters who are killing our police officers one by one, and they are not afraid of the police officers anymore because they are emboldened by a system that is designed to protect criminals. Yes, the laws in Jamaica protect the criminals and not the victims of crimes or police officers and law-abiding citizens. Everything is designed for the criminal. It is with a heavy heart that I am here today doing this video, because a police officer whom I've worked with was killed by parasites in Gregory Park, St. Catherine. Rest in peace, member of Huntsby Police Station, St. Down the South, my whole police station and division. Yes, member is an original mobile reserve police officer. Rest in peace, my brother, and my deepest condolences to his families, colleagues, and friends at Huntsby Police Station. I will do a separate video about his and the other police officers' death at the hands of the criminals in this criminal paradise called Jamaica. Yes, and the reason why I said Jamaica is a criminal's paradise is that the criminals, they are emboldened to kill people, and there is no repercussion. Whenever these people, like for instance last week, there was a man in Clarendon who was convicted for participating in 11 murder, in which he's responsible, so he's a convicted murderer. And he received 30 years in prison, and he's eligible for parole after 15 years. There's nowhere in this world where, not even in Europe, where you have the most liberal minds, that something that would happen. Because killing 11 people, that's a serial killer. That person should be locked away for their natural life until they're going to the cemetery. But Jamaica is a criminal's paradise where they make excuse for murderers at all times. I am going to read to you this report, and I want you to listen to this report from one of our local station in Jamaica, whose name was JBC. The Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation, and a staunch supporters for criminals in the 1970s. When I was growing up in Jamaica, it is now renamed TVJ, which is Television Jamaica, and it is one of the most dangerous media outlets and have police blood on their hands by promoting murderers of victims of the police force. So this Miami, on Thursday, September 13, 2007, at about 11 a.m., a Miami-Dade County police officer was killed. 3 other officers were wounded Thursday by a driver who then fled the scene. The authorities said setting off a manhunt that ended with the suspect being killed shortly before midnight. The police officers are as follows. 1. Officer Jose Samano, 37 years old. He was killed by the gunman. Officer number 2, Jody Wright, 31. She is wounded. Her parents are Jamaican. She's white. Officer Christopher Carlin is 34. He is wounded. Officer Thomas Tondidor, 37. He is wounded. After a search by London here that closed streets and locked down an entire neighborhood, the police tracked down the suspect, a 25-year-old man they identified as Sean S. Labeat, to an apartment in Pembroke Pines, Broward County, Florida, near to Miami. Few details were available. Commander Linda O'Brien, a police spokeswoman, said Mr. Labeat was harmed and had extra ammunition. Earlier, Mayor Carlos Alvarez of Miami-Dade County described Mr. Labeat as an extremely violent individual that we don't need out here in our community, and we are happy that he's dead and no longer a menace to society. The police officers were shot while working on burglary surveillance in Cutler Bay, a suburb about 20 miles south of downtown Miami. They tried to pull over Mr. Labeat around 11 a.m. for driving erratically. The officer said, They said Mr. Labeat stepped out of the car and opened fire with an AK-47 assault rifle, hitting all 4 officers, then drove off. The officer killed was identified as Officer Jose Samahano, 37, who was married and had 2 children. The wounded officers were identified as Jody Wright, as I've said before, Officer Christopher Carlin, and Thomas Tondidor. Hundreds of police from various agencies joined the search. Some officers wearing combat helmets and fatigues. Schools were locked down and parts of Florida Turnpike were closed. There was no one who was allowed in or allowed to go out of Broward County and Miami-Dade County. So wherever you were, you have to stay there until the police give the okay for you to move and go about your business. The police scoured neighborhoods and helicopters buzzed over it. And the reason for this? A police officer was killed and 3 others were shot. In the southwest part of the county, residents of the neighborhood where the shooting occurred waited hours in 90-degree heat to be allowed back into their homes. There are a lot of people here who have family who need assistance, said Mr. Daniel Soto, who was trying to get inside his home to attend to his wife who was cancer. There is no reason, no sense in having us to wait out here, said Mr. Soto. Felix, a local sandwich shop owner, brought bottled water and ice for residents who waited to get to their homes. It's a shame to see little kids out here for 6 hours, Mr. Perez said. American Red Cross disaster relief workers also handed out energy bars and drinks. The authorities first identified another man as suspect, but Howard later corrected themselves and named Mr. Labeat. Although the residents were complaining about standing outside of their homes and weren't able to access their neighborhood, they were reminded by the police that one of their colleagues was killed by a gunman, and they are not allowing anyone to move from one point to the other until the killer is caught. And there's no time frame for us to allow people to move freely. We have to catch the killer, said Commander O'Brien. The police found the weapon they believe had been used in the shootings under our car. Mr. Labit was driving. Officer Wright, who is of Jamaican descent, her parents are Jamaicans, whose leg was shattered by a bullet, was airlifted to a trauma center at Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami, Florida. That's one of the best hospitals in Miami-Dade County. The two other officers were treated at local hospitals and released. It was the third time in 6 weeks that South Florida police officers had been shot in the line of duty. The officers' colleagues shot the man accused of killing a Miami-Dade police officer who was shot 15 times by the officer's colleague after they cornered him in Prombrook Pines, Broward County, Chief Medical Officer said Monday. After a day-long manhunt ended late Thursday night at the Heron Pond apartment complex off Miramar Parkway in Miramar/Pembroke Pines, Florida. Sean Labit, the murderer, was spotted by the police, and they unload their weapon into his body. Dr. Joshua Purper said, basing on his analysis and preliminary information from the police, they ordered him to show his hand, and he refused and tried instead to retreat into an enclosure. Officers fired at him, and 15 bullets enter into the cop killer's body, Dr. Purper said. Some of them appear to have stippling around them, which indicate a distance of 2 or 3 feet, he said. That is not a long distance gunshot wound. The shooting was very close to arm's length. The 2 wounds that proved fatal enter Labit's chest from the right side of his body, inducing terminal bleeding, Purper said. The bullets pierced his liver, kidney, stomach, and left lung. The shot that remained lodged in his chest was the only one recovered. At the end of the shooting, the deceased man did not have a pin, anchor, or spent shell in his possession, and no weapon was recovered from the scene. The police arrested a total of 6 persons who helped the cop killer escape from Miami-Dade County, where he had killed the officer and injured the other 3 officers. And they are in all 6 persons that you're looking at right now. They helped the deceased, Labit, to escape and enter Broward County. They are all in prison doing 15 years to life for their roles. The officer who killed the cop killer received a medal from Governor Charlie Crist, who was the governor at the time. When you kill our law enforcement officers, you are not a criminal, you are a terrorist. I want you Jamaican people to listen to me, and police officer. The police officer who killed the cop killer received a medal from Governor Charlie Crist of Florida, who was the governor. They did not recover any gun, no weapon, or anything from the cop killer. When you kill our law enforcement officer, you are not a criminal. You are a terrorist. And as such, we must deal with these people differently. Those who are saying that he had no weapon, what do you want my police officers to do? Wait for him to shoot 4 more of our law enforcement officers? The deceased was a violent individual whose callousness knew no boundaries. And when faced with evil, we have to match the time, place, and the person who is evil with the resource we have at our disposal. I am very proud of our officers who took out this evil man, said Governor Charlie Crist. There was no organization coming out in support of the gunman because in the United States of America, if you want to ruin your life as a politician or a business person, attack the police or the military. You will get the wrath of the citizens because they know that once you start to terrorize our police officers, we, the citizen, are next. That is why there are no organizations that support criminality in America. The 6 men who killed Sergeant Memper and those that killed District Constable Armstrong should meet the same fate as the killer of Officer Jose Somanano. We don't need any shootout. We need these men to be treated as terrorists of Jamaica and its people. So, do you see the difference right here? In America, the United States of America, the country that's preached, where you have the most human rights group that operates in Jamaica. Here is a man who killed a police officer and seriously injured 3 others. And when he was seen by the police, they fired 15 bullets into his body and killed him. They did not recover a pin, pen shell, gun, knife, no weapon. And the governor of the state of Florida gave the police officer who killed him a medal and praising him. When the governor was asked why the police killed him and he had no weapon, the words of the governor speaks volume. And let me remind you what the governor says. You would never hear this from a Jamaican politician, young police officers, and my good Jamaican people. When you kill our law enforcement officers, you are not a criminal. Let me repeat that for you. When you kill our law enforcement officers, you are not a criminal. You are a terrorist, and as such, we must deal with you, these people, differently. Those who are saying that he had no weapon, what do you want my police officers to do? Wait for him to shoot 4 more of my law enforcement officer? Are you people crazy? What the governor is saying that he does not want his police officers to wait for him to pull a gun to shoot at them and shoot 4 more and possibly kill them. And this is the governor's statement. The deceased man was a violent individual whose callousness knew no boundaries. And when we face evil, we had to match the time, place, and person who is evil with the resources we have at our disposal. I am very proud of our police officers who took out this evil man, said Governor Charlie Crist. Do you think that you would never, the last time a politician or a leader in Jamaica have echoed such words was the last prime minister that Jamaican people hated the most, the late Edward Seaga? You will never hear him condemn the police for killing cop killers in Jamaica when he was Prime Minister. And we have seen 6 men kill Sergeant McCollins, Memper, last week. And not one of those men are killed, arrested, or anything like that. 6 men. This man was one man. And the governor of Florida says that once you kill a police officer, you're no longer a criminal, you're a terrorist. And you are telling me in 2021, this happened in 2007, and you're telling me that in Jamaica, you have 6 men with high-powered weapon specifically went to a place and killed a police officer, and to date, not one of them has been brought to justice. Do you think that could happen in America? You heard what I had said happen when this police officer was killed and the other 3 was injured? The police officers, they closed 2 counties, no commerce, no business, nothing. No one could leave their home or enter their home. Wherever they are, they had to stay. No movement. The highways were closed because they said not until they catch the killer before everyone be able to resume normal life. And we have seen Officer Mempo was murdered last week. And then we see on Friday, District Constable Armstrong was cold-bloodedly killed in his community where he was born and grew. And nothing happened. This is the criminal's paradise. These men, they are not criminals, they are terrorists. And as such, they should be treated as terrorists, the same way that Mr. Labit was treated. Don't wait for these people to shoot at you, to kill another police officer or injure them. They has to be given. You have to treat a terrorist as a terrorist. And we want justice for our police officers, because an attack on a police officer is not only an attack on the states, it's an attack on everyone. Because once they start killing police officers and feeling comfortable in doing it, then it's the people who have no powers they're coming at. It's time for the government to take action. We know that the system is designed for the criminals there. We know that the elected politicians in Jamaica, they do their bidding for the criminals. I have read the anti-gang legislation, and I can tell you that it seems like it was written by the Klansman or the one other gang members. Everything in that act is designed to acquit these people. Jamaica is getting worse. We need back this island. The problem in Jamaica, it's not the gunmen are the problem, but the problem lies in Parliament. Those 63 persons that's inside there, elected, men and women, they are the ones who are cuddling our criminals. That's why they are killing our police officers. We need serious action. We are mourning the death of these police officers, and know that you have seen the difference with 2 different locations and 2 different response. In America, you kill a police officer, the police won't spare no one until they caught the killer. This man was killed within arm's length, less than 2 feet, because they were powder burn on his body. And the police officer that killed him received a medal. Do you think that that could happen in Jamaica? Where the Prime Minister would come out and says that once you kill a police officer, you're no longer a criminal, you're a terrorist? 6 men. It's a matter of time before these same men with guns visit one of our political leaders' home or business place or when they're visiting their girlfriends, and no mercy will be shown to them. Once you're soft on crime, crime will come and bite you right where it's at. Thanks for watching the Jamaica Young Police channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment on the video. One love, and police officers, please stay safe in Jamaica. Have a blessed day.